Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Morgan Garland. I'm the operations manager with WESIS. With us today, we have Leslie from MITRE, who's going to be presenting on the topic of inspiring the next generation of cyber professionals. Before we go ahead and get started with our webinar today, I want to go ahead and just give you a quick introduction to WESIS for those of you who are not familiar with us. WESIS is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a global reach dedicated to bringing together women in cyber from academia, research, and industry to share knowledge, experience, networking, and mentoring. We often go by our acronym WESIS, as in We Sisters, because that is exactly what we are. We're a global cyber sisterhood. We have over 9,000 members in 95 countries with over 65 professional affiliates and 250 student chapters. We have a variety of different initiatives for all of our members, including skills development training programs. We have an online member forum. We have professional affiliates and student chapters, as I had mentioned, Job Board Plus Plus, our leadership series, mentorship program, and much, much more. And we owe all of our amazing initiatives to our strategic partners who fund us year-round. Our Tier 1 partners being Akamai, Amazon, AT&T Cybersecurity, Battelle, Bloomberg, Carnegie Mellon University Software Engineering Institute, Cisco, DeVry University, Ford, Fortinet, Google, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Optum, Syndia National Labs, and Centennial One. And I just want to give you a reminder to ask questions today. We're going to have a Q&A at the end of the session for Leslie to go ahead and hear from you in the audience. So please use that feature. She wants to hear from you today. And also, I'm going to drop the link to subscribe to the WESIS newsletter if you don't follow us already, so you can receive communications on upcoming events and initiatives. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Leslie to introduce herself and get started with today's webinar.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Leslie.
Great, wonderful. So I think we're going to start with a couple polls, but let me introduce myself first, and then here I'm going to start with the slides. We'll see how this goes. And apologies in advance if there's any network quality issues because I was experiencing some just a few minutes ago. So bear with me. If I disappear, I will come back. All right. So I'm Leslie Anderson. I thought I would start off introducing myself with one slide full of images that kind of represent my life themes. I am currently the chief strategist in MITRE's Cyber Operations and Effects group at MITRE within an organization called MITRE Labs. And so I'm wearing my t-shirt today, and I'll talk a little bit more about my t-shirts as the presentation goes on. So a little bit about me. Oops, that's not going to advance the slide. There we go. So this is a little timeline, high-level timeline of my career. I've started school in the 90s. I have degrees from Carnegie Mellon University and Columbia University. I also studied German. Both of my degrees, which you'll see as a theme here, make me a little bit of a fish out of water in the cybersecurity profession. I have 2 degrees in writing and a double undergraduate degree in German. My degree from Columbia is a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. So this is important as the message from this presentation moves forward, that cybersecurity is a multidisciplinary field, and we need all disciplines and walks of life to join us in cybersecurity. I did some independent consulting for a while as a brand strategist and a writer. I worked at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is really where I fell in love, really, with the idea of having a mission-oriented career that is safety and security focused. Something about working at NCMEC really spoke to me, and the idea of using my skills for the protection of children and the protection of others who can't protect themselves was really moving and inspiring. And so that was a seminal point in my career. I then moved on to work at MITRE, where I've had a whole variety of roles, everything from strategic planning to branding and stakeholder relationship management. I do both work with our federal sponsors, and I work on strategic initiatives for the MITRE Corporation, and I've been doing that since I started at MITRE. I left MITRE for a short period of time to work for another mission-oriented organization called the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative. It was a departure from national security, but it was about health and safety. It was about keeping people safe in their homes, keeping their homes healthy, and eradicating lead poisoning and asthma that is caused by unhealthy home conditions. And then I couldn't stay away from MITRE. A couple years after I left, I decided that really this is where my heart was, that I wanted to get back to MITRE, to the people here, and also to the technology. Going way back to my original period of education at Carnegie Mellon, I learned to function and be inspired as a fish out of water, as the humanities student among technical students. I've always been very interested in technology and science, and coming back to MITRE really spoke to me. I realized how much I missed having science and technology as part of my day-to-day life. So there was an opportunity to work in cybersecurity. I came back to MITRE, and I've been here ever since. That was about my return to MITRE was about 8 years ago. Okay, so this is my kind of sloppy build slide. Cyber operations and effects is where I am now. I just mentioned that I'm chief strategist in this division at MITRE. This is another MITRE t-shirt, another t-shirt from this division. And I put it on the slide because I'm especially proud to be part of this group at MITRE, which is full of technologists that really do fulfill MITRE's mission in making the world a safer place. And we're proud to wear them all the time, constantly, sporting my cyber operations and effects t-shirts. A little bit more about me. I have 3 daughters. I love to ski. My daughters are ranging from 19 now to 11, and they keep me very, very busy. My life is full of cyber and girls. And finally, I have this beautiful little COVID puppy who is the light of my life. Her name is Petunia. I'm a dog person. And if anything should go off the rails in this briefing, let's blame it on my recent trip to Australia. I just got back 2 days ago from what was an incredible, incredible trip, a business trip with a little bit of side adventure. And so if I start to ramble or the slides go a little wonky, it is because I'm pretty jet lagged. So I would love to do the polls, and I'm a little unfamiliar with this platform. And so I wanted to point everybody's attention to the polls that are in the sidebar. There are 3 of them there. And this is just to sort of set the stage for the presentation, but also to get you thinking a little bit about kind of what motivates this program that MITRE has put together. And so you can see if you go to the polls, there are 3 questions. The first one is, at what stage are you in your cybersecurity career? And hopefully everybody can see them. The second one is, oh great, it sounds like Morgan just launched the first one. Sorry, I'm reading a bunch of different screens. Awesome. So if you take your time and answer the questions to that one. It looks like we have a lot of undergraduate students, some graduate students, early career professionals. So far, we have no high school students. Great. Oh, it's really balancing out. Okay, we'll give it another 15 or 20 seconds here. So looks like we've got 2 high school students, 2% high school students. 14% undergraduates, 20% graduate or postgraduates, 22% early career professionals, and 40% mid to senior professionals. So that's a really great distribution. I'm thrilled to have you all here today. I think we can move on to the next poll. In a moment, back to the list. Okay. So the next poll question is, when did you know you were interested in a cybersecurity career? And your options are high school, college, graduate school, after some work experience. I'm still exploring career paths. I mean, after my long introduction, you can see that it definitely took some work experience for me to decide that my career was going to be in cybersecurity. Some people knew in high school. That's impressive. It looks like after some work experience is going to be the clear majority here, which doesn't surprise me. But I'm going to make a note of it because it does really get to kind of one of the lessons that, or one of the changes that we're trying to bring about through our work at MITRE, early in the game as it is for us. Great, thank you all for participating. This is really interesting. Okay, Morgan, it looks like that one's kind of settling out. We've got 5% new in high school, 7% in college, 15% in graduate school, 67% after some work experience, and 5% are still exploring career paths. Fantastic. And then the final poll is, what best describes your educational background? Full disclosure, I had a lot of options here until the last minute when we realized we were restricted to 5. So I made some very big categories. So sciences, I intended that to be natural sciences, biology, chemistry, marine biology, engineering, all disciplines in engineering. Computer science kind of stood out to me as one that a lot of people move from computer science into cyber. Humanities, and then criminal justice. We do have, I pulled that out specifically because we do have a number of people who come from criminal justice, maybe not initially out of school, but eventually out of criminal justice programs to join the cyber defenders ranks. Looks like these are still shaking out, but computer science is definitely the lead. 5% comp sci. Oh, good. We have some folks with criminal justice backgrounds. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got science, 12%, engineering, 23%, computer science, 43%, humanities, 17%, and criminal justice, 2%. Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for participating in the polling. That really gives me a good idea for who I'm speaking to today. Like I said, I'm new to this app, and it's a very general invitation that goes out, and so it's really great to know who's here. And I think that it looks like my video quality is still holding up pretty well, so I'm going to just keep my video on. If it ends up getting dicey, I'll turn the video off and just go with the slides. Okay, so this is me, and I'm here to talk about a program that MITRE launched 3 years ago called Cyber Futures. But I thought it might be good to back up a little bit and talk a little bit about the history of cybersecurity workforce development in a nutshell. I'm not going to go into great lengths, but there are some important voices out there in cybersecurity workforce development. The first one, of course, being NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, has a program that you're probably very familiar with called NICE. NICE used to be the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. I had to remember that. But now NICE is just called NICE. They are no longer they no longer consider themselves an initiative. It is a institutionalized program that began prior to 2010, whenever this was initially published. The NICE framework was initially published. And it has been growing and evolving since then, and now it is an institutionalized program at NIST. I bring this up because the fact that NIST launched NICE in roughly 2008 is really indicative of the need for cybersecurity workforce development in our nation and globally. The NICE framework provides, I'll just read the slide to you, provides a set of building blocks for describing the tasks, knowledge, and skills that are needed to perform cybersecurity work performed by individuals and teams. Through these building blocks, the NICE framework enables organizations to develop their workforces to perform cybersecurity work. So this is seminal for a number of reasons. One, like I mentioned, it was a very clear signal by the federal government that we needed to invest in developing our cybersecurity workforce in the United States. It also is incredible guidance for organizations that are looking to build their workforce. And so if you are interested in developing programs like the one I'm about to describe at your organization, and you aren't familiar with the NICE framework, please go take a look at it. There's a lot of information there, more information than you're going to be able to absorb when you start. But it is incredibly valuable, and it's been evolving since, like I said, 2010. I quickly jotted down before we got online the dates of re-release for this, just so we all kind of hold in our minds how much work has gone into evolving the NICE framework. It was originally released in 2010. New versions came out in 2012, 2014, 2017, and the latest version was released in 2020. So check out the NICE framework whenever you get a chance. The second thing I wanted to mention is a paper that was written by one of my colleagues here at MITRE, Dr. Irving Lachow, in collaboration with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. This paper came out in 2022, and it talks about equity and diversity in the cyber workforce. So not only and provides policy recommendations for addressing data gaps. One of the findings of Dr. Lachow, among others in the paper, is that the data that we have in our country for assessing the workforce and evaluating how well we're doing evolving our workforce wasn't so great. And so this paper makes recommendations to the federal government for how we can double down on our efforts to get that data, organizations that maybe should be more focused on capturing this kind of data. And it underscores the importance of equity and diversity, building equity and diversity into our workforce, into this workforce. That isn't necessarily the focus of NICE, and so that's why I bring this up. NICE is really about the skills, improving cybersecurity skills. And over the last 10, 12 years, it's become very, very clear that a diverse cybersecurity workforce is also vital to cybersecurity globally. Again, just to read the quote that I pulled out of the paper, a diverse workforce can contribute to a better understanding of user behavior and the ever-evolving threat landscape. Additionally, diverse representation can help organizations identify and address implicit biases that may be impacting their ability to hire and retain talent, develop new products and services, and understand market demand across a broader demographic base. Getting back to my t-shirt, my own professional and educational experience, diversity is incredibly important in our cybersecurity teams. And I think it's safe to say I'm on this team because MITRE has recognized for a very long time how important it is to have diversity of background, diversity of gender, diversity of skill sets, diversity of race, religion. All of it is very important to being able to create a cybersecurity team of defenders that can collectively and more effectively defend because of the diversity of those adversaries that are coming into our networks. We're people, after all. We understand other people. And then third is this document, which was, to my great delight, released in July 2023. So it just came out this last summer. This was released by the White House, the National Cyber Workforce and Education Strategy, Unleashing America's Cyber Talent. So this is a really important document that the White House released that provides important tenets and guidance for the federal government and for the private sector to focus on the development of cyber skills nationwide. So these are the 4 pillars of the strategy. They are to equip every American with foundational cyber skills, to transform cyber education, to expand and enhance the national cyber workforce, and to strengthen the federal cyber workforce. So the program that I'm going to describe really focuses on the third and fourth pillars of this education strategy. But I thought it was important to bring it up early in this discussion so that you can kind of see how MITRE is focusing on these pillars, but also how we kind of led into this before the strategy came out, which is really exciting and heartening to me. I will fully admit that Cyber Futures was not my idea. I was part of evolving and developing the idea, but this actually was something that came down from our board, from our then vice chairman of the board and our president and CEO, decided that a couple years ago, right after COVID, that MITRE should be doing more to help our federal sponsors, the federal agencies that we partner with and work for primarily, develop their workforces, because we are in such are still in a fairly dire situation when it comes to having the numbers of professionals we need in the national cyber workforce and the diversity that we need in the national cyber workforce. Is there anything else I want to say about this? I had a couple other notes. No, I think that's fine on this for now. So I guess the importance here, or the one flag I want to raise, is that, of course, this strategy was released after we put together our program. MITRE also had an opportunity to provide some input to the strategy. We responded to an RFI. Dr. Latchall's paper is referenced in the RFI, so we're very proud of that. But this is all very much an evolution over time of the nation, recognizing that cybersecurity workforce development is critical to our national security and our economic security. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk a little bit about this program that MITRE put together. I mentioned earlier that this program was not my idea. It was the vision of our then chairman, Mike Rogers, shared with our president and CEO, Jason Provodakis, and my big boss, our senior vice president in MITRE Labs, Charles Clancy. Together, they challenged us in the cybersecurity divisions in MITRE Labs to think about how we could do more to develop a program that creates a diverse cybersecurity workforce talent pipeline for national and economic security. So that's a pretty big vision. We are 3 years into this program, and so we still have a long way to go to make huge impact in this space, but we are showing a lot of progress. And whenever I was approached to do a webinar on this topic, it seemed like a really good time to share information about the program, share some of our lessons learned, and bring on new partnerships potentially, recruit if you know folks who are interested in applying for the program, and also just share what we've learned in case you're interested in doing similar programs at your organization. And certainly if there's anybody out there who is currently working in a federal agency and doing workforce development, I'd love to hear from you as well, because really our goal in this program is to work in partnership with minority serving institutions, HBCUs, and training providers to inspire college students to pursue careers in cybersecurity earlier than they might actually pursue internships otherwise, and to create pathways to full-time employment that support national security and economic security. That last part's really important because while this is in part a MITRE recruiting program, and we're very happy to hire graduates of our Cyber Futures program if they are interested in returning to MITRE, and it's a good fit. It is not primarily a MITRE hiring program. We really feel that success in this program would be if we brought students in who fell in love with cybersecurity early in their college careers, and we were able to really shape and mold them to become public servants and inspired them to do work either as a member of a nonprofit, as a for-profit organization, or a member of the federal workforce to dedicate their careers to cybersecurity. So back to the poll, most of the people, I think the majority of the people listening today, started their careers in cybersecurity after some professional experience, which is great. But in order to really grow our workforce and build our numbers, we at MITRE think it's really important to reach students early and to get them passionate about working in cyber, and particularly in cybersecurity for national and economic security, so that they can grow their careers from the very beginning in this field. So that's the vision for the program. Okay, so the program approach. I am not an expert in workforce development. I am not an expert in cybersecurity, but I'm pretty good at program management, and I'm pretty good at identifying talent and putting together good teams. So what we did at MITRE was pilot this program starting in 2021. We formed a close partnership with our student programs division, which is where all of MITRE's recruiting from graduate and undergraduate programs occurs. And they're incredible. They're incredible partners for this program. They focus on MITRE recruiting, and they focus on recruiting for this program. And then I would say there's always a little bit of healthy competition, like where do we really want our graduates of this program to go? Are they going to come back to MITRE? Are they going to go on to work for our federal sponsors? And so our student programs partnership, in partnership with our MITRE Labs team, which is where the cybersecurity expertise resides, has been really critical to the success of the program to date, because there are a lot of moving parts and we cram a lot into it. Our objectives for the program are that we want to provide innovative learning opportunities from experts at MITRE, like I said, to students who are early in their college careers, and kind of get them excited about cyber as early as we possibly can. We apply those learning opportunities that are provided at MITRE early in the 10-week program to capstone projects that students are then able to participate in later in the program, that are actually projects that are sponsored or requested by our federal agency customers, or they are sponsored by MITRE research and development programs. So we have a whole variety of projects that students are able to work on during their summer at MITRE. We provide hands-on training. In the past years, we have provided training that was developed very specifically for Cyber Futures by an organization called Prelude. They offered us free of charge, certainly not free to them, access to their operator platform, and they provided staff training in a red team, blue team environment that culminated in a capture the flag for students. That was probably one of the most fun things of the whole program. So we're very grateful to our partnership with Prelude over the last couple of years. We're also experimenting with other training providers in the program. The key to our training provider relationships to date has been that it really needs to be, for us to make the program work, a no-cost collaborative partnership. So we've been really grateful to Prelude for rolling up their sleeves and putting some skin in the game, and helping us mold this program, because it definitely has been experimentation and a little bit of trial and error to find out what works best for the students. We provide access to leaders in the cybersecurity field across MITRE and the government. We have some of the nation's experts in cybersecurity right in my very own division, where I'm proud to wear my t-shirt, in all manners of cybersecurity capability. And so we're very excited to expose students to these experts and to help them create this network and connection, because as most of us know who are mid and senior level career, your network is incredibly important whenever you're building your portfolio of work and whenever you're starting to interview for those first jobs and decide where you really want to work. So we're really excited to provide that baseline network for interns that come into our program. We offer one-on-one mentorship and professional development opportunities. That was something that was incredibly popular among our interns the last many years. Our MITRE staff are all very eager to help shape the minds and cyber defenders of the future. And so they got a lot of one-on-one time with their mentors. And our internships are competitively paid. The schedule of our internship, it's a 10-week program. I talked a little bit about the training. During weeks 1 and 2, we provide MITRE designed training. This really is the first exposure that students have to our SMEs, our subject matter experts. And if they want, they can follow up with those SMEs. It's a little bit of opportunism whenever we have folks who are available to teach these courses. They usually jump at the opportunity if they have availability. And so we're very grateful to our SMEs who help us develop the training and teach the training. Generally speaking, we focus the training into 3 areas: into cyber operations, into IoT and operational technologies, and into policy. We've had a number of different ways we've structured the training over the last few years. Again, experimenting and doing a little bit of trial and error with how we offer it to students. But those are generally the 3 categories that we design the training for. A note here is about our recruiting for this program. Traditionally, MITRE recruits for deep technical expertise. So we're really looking for cybersecurity majors. We're looking for computer science, math, engineering, sciences when we bring people into our cybersecurity programs. But this program casts a much wider net, and we look for primarily students that get great grades and that are very interested in cybersecurity. So you could be a policy major, you could be a history major with great analytical skills. You could be certainly a computer science major who's interested in exploring cybersecurity careers. We really try to open the aperture to bring multidisciplinary backgrounds into this program. And we've got a lot of lessons learned there. But it really does represent how the cybersecurity profession has been built over time. And so while MITRE's particular role in serving our federal sponsors has always been very, very deep technical delivery, this program, because it's focused on workforce development, expands the aperture and really welcomes applicants who are serious students and very interested in cybersecurity. That's it. Back to the schedule. Week 3, we do the CTF challenge I mentioned with Prelude. I think this year we're probably going to expand that and do a couple different types of CTF challenges and a couple different training opportunities now that we've kind of got a little experience under our belts. We know what works and what doesn't work in this compressed time frame. And then weeks 4 through 10 are the capstone projects. And that really is where I think our students have an opportunity to shine. Usually by week 4, they're all very, very eager to get onto their projects. And we have a whole host of different topics that are sponsored, paid for, direct work by a number of our federal partners. So in the last few years, we've had really great support from NIST. The National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence has hosted a number of interns, the Department of Homeland Security, the Air Force, and as I mentioned earlier, MITRE's R&D programs. Do a little time check for myself. Okay, we have 25 minutes. So where do the students come from these programs? They come from all over the country. But like I said, we are, one of our real focused goals for this program is in building diversity. And so in addition to diversity of skill sets, the multidisciplinary approach that I was talking about, we really want to make sure that we are recruiting from underrepresented groups. So we are looking at minority serving institutions whenever we recruit, historically Black colleges, HBCUs, colleges and universities, and we accept applicants from all universities, but this is really kind of where we target. And so this is just, I don't even think this is representative of all the schools that have participated in Cyber Futures, but certainly it is the majority of the organizations that have been represented in the program. And we just couldn't be prouder to have such great diversity of educational institutions. And we really have had amazingly diverse cohorts come into the program. And so I would say, I haven't gotten to the lessons learned yet, but I would say one of the lessons learned here really is a function of our relationship with our student programs colleagues. They go out starting in September and begin recruiting at universities. They've added this program to their list, and really do an incredible job of outreach to students very early in the year, so that we can get as many students as possible into the program. Okay, so what has happened in this program? We've now had 3 years of the program. We started in 2021. The challenge came down from our board member in 2020, fall of 2020. And that winter, 2021, we all pushed up our sleeves and worked really hard to put together a pilot program. So it was the summer of 2021 when we welcomed our first cohort, and it was a virtual cohort because, of course, we were all still very much in a hybrid work situation. And it was challenging, but it also allowed us to bring in interns from across the country when otherwise I just don't think we would have been able to get them here because we were still on the tail end of the pandemic. So we offered, that year was fully virtual. And we did all of the training on Teams, and we did all of the project work on Teams. And it was really challenging, but it was also, we got some great lessons learned out of it. And I think our students had a really good experience. We always do polls of the students incoming and outgoing to assess, their interest in working in federal government or public service, their interest in working in cybersecurity specifically, their knowledge of MITRE, the knowledge of the work that the federal government does in cyber. And, I can say even from the first year, many students expressed interest when they left the program in public service careers and cybersecurity careers. And that is a huge metric for us over time. We want to make sure that people are coming into the program with some interest, that they leave with a lot of interest. And then we hope that continues as they move throughout their college careers. So anyway, back to the slide. Our 2021 cohort was 25, maybe 24 people, 24 interns. And then the next year we doubled it to 50 interns. We held steady at 50 interns last year. 50 interns is a lot of interns. MITRE has about 9,000 employees, and so 50 interns in this program alone is quite a large group of students to welcome over the summer. We have evolved to a hybrid environment, so we have students working on site and remotely for 3 days, up to 3 days a week. I think it's 3 days a week they're on site and 2 days they're remote. And we have them based at 3 sites. So we learned a lot of lessons in that first year about team building and about co-location and about how important it is for students this early in their college careers to have some sense of community and some sense of team. And it's much easier to build that team whenever you have some in-person opportunities. And so we've evolved to have hybrid work environment over the last couple of years. I will admit that I think it works even better if it is all in person. It's very difficult to get people from across the country, especially students, to be all in person all the time, especially after the pandemic and all the different opportunities that people have to work from various locations. And so we've settled on this hybrid model for now, and it works pretty well. Again, I think we do better whenever we have them here in person because it's a first professional experience for many of these students, and there's so much to learn. It's just so difficult to do it whenever you're isolated and you don't have access to the building and you don't have access to all the professionals kind of roaming around the halls and in the cafeteria. So I would advocate for as much in-person time as possible if you're going to build a program like this. We now have 8 capstone sponsors. I mentioned some of them before. This is a variety of internal and external projects. We had 13 schools last year represented from that previous slide that I showed. And then in leaving the program, 92% expressed interest in a cyber career, which I just thought was wonderful because, like I said, we do bring in students from a whole diverse range of backgrounds and education levels. And some students come and the work is too challenging because they don't have the technical skills that they need. And they've got to rely on some of their peers. They've got to rely on professionals to help them get over some of those technical hurdles. Some students come in and they're highly technical. They're math majors or they're computer science majors. And they're like, I'm not really sure I want to do cybersecurity exactly the way that it's being offered to me in this program. I think I want to do something that's, I want to go off and get my PhD. So it's just extraordinary to me that we could bring in so many students from so many different backgrounds and get a 92% interest leaving the program. I think that speaks volumes about how much opportunity there is in this profession to find your place. We had 16 people return as interns or full-time hires after 2023's cohort. That is also pretty extraordinary out of 50 interns. I, in some parts, think that is a wildly successful number, and in other ways feel like we may be failing a little bit because that means MITRE is benefiting from these great students, and we're not effectively getting them off to work in the federal government or for other organizations that support the federal government. But for now, we'll take it. I think that we still have a little work to do to figure out how we can do a better job partnering with federal agencies, making them aware of this program, and that they can take advantage of it at MITRE. If you're a MITRE sponsor, a MITRE customer, say working at DHS, you can say, hey, I would love to take advantage of the Cyber Futures internship program. Let's get 3 interns working on a DHS problem over the summer. And MITRE will recruit them and we'll train them, and then we will put them in for any kind of suitability or fitness clearance that they need, and then shepherd them through the project. So it is a service in part that we're trying to offer to our sponsors, and I think we just have to continue going through opportunities like this where we can get the word out about the program. So the 2024 cohort, we're coming up on the 2024 cohort. We have a goal of 50 interns this summer as well. 50 seems to be the sweet spot for us. More than that, it gets pretty burdensome to manage that many people for such a short period of time. And like I said, we're looking for students that have a curiosity about cybersecurity and a career in public service. that are interested in the diverse work and learning opportunities, skill set that MITRE helps build, and then have a desire to work on really tough problems, and want to explore being in a mission-oriented organization. MITRE's mission is to work together to create a safer world. And so if that is appealing to you or to people you know, please let them know about this opportunity. Okay, I have 15 minutes left, and I've talked a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm going to go quickly through these next couple of slides so we can get to some questions, if there are any questions. This is just a smattering of voices that have come out of the program. If you Google MITRE and Cyber Futures, or you go on LinkedIn and you look for MITRE Cyber Futures, you'll find these and many more examples of students that have gone through the program in just the last 3 years, talking about their experiences at MITRE. This video on the left side of the screen, Joshua, is just wonderful. It's from our first year, and he talks about his experiences at MITRE and is just so enthusiastic about the opportunity to come here and have exposure to our staff and to the federal government. It was very gratifying to find that video online one day. So you can check them all out. I guess I also wanted to mention the range of projects I had discussed earlier that students have been able to participate in. I mentioned NIST. We've done a ton of, we try to organize our capstone groups into 3 to 5 students so that they can work together. We try to do a blend of skills in those 3 to 5 person groups. Sometimes the groups are bigger, sometimes the groups are smaller. I'm super proud to say that we had some students working for projects at the Department of Justice, which really interested them in the criminal justice system in cybersecurity. And that was wonderful research. We did some research into cybersecurity in trucking, IoT cybersecurity, cyber physical systems. We had a group of students working in a lab on operational technologies here, doing some internal MITRE research. And then for those of you that are familiar with MITRE's open source cybersecurity tools and frameworks, specifically Caldera, Engage, and Attack, we've had students work on all of those projects. Our Caldera student, in fact, issued a blog post from the 2023 cohort. So if you go to the Caldera blog, you can read a publication that was written by one of our students, which is, it's great for us to have that fresh energy, and it's great for the students to have an opportunity to publish as part of the MITRE Corporation so early in their college careers. Okay, and then lessons learned. There are so many lessons learned, but these are some of the top ones. The one thing I left off the slide that I don't want to forget is how important it is to get senior leadership buy-in to such a program, because it is not an insignificant undertaking, especially if you're going to offer training and you're going to build the training, or you're going to partner with organizations who are going to bring in the training, probably a more efficient way to do it. But because we have so many SMEs here, we try to take advantage of the staff we have. It's very important to get the leadership buy-in whenever you're structuring the program, because it takes years to figure out what works best. And our leadership team has been incredibly supportive. We continue to offer the program. We're going to our 4th summer this summer, and I don't see us turning back. So important lesson learned that I accidentally left off the slide. Quickly, I'll go through these. Recruiting should be done intentionally. You need to communicate your expectations about the program. What's in the rec is important, but whenever you're speaking with students about the program in early interviews, it's really important to communicate your expectations coming into a professional environment, especially students that are this early college career. We've learned that when students don't have any professional experience or minimal professional experience, it just takes time and hands-on management to make sure that they understand, what the expectations of the organization are, and how working in a nonprofit technology organization is different than going to class at the university. focus on target outcomes. It seems fairly obvious, but it's very easy to get distracted because there's lots of great things you could try to accomplish with a program like this. So for us, focusing on the target outcomes really was about educating students, developing the federal workforce, and inclusion and diversity. And so we try very hard whenever we're recruiting, whenever we're designing the training, whenever we are selecting projects for students to participate on, whenever we're blending teams, creating team assignments for those projects, that we really focus on those target outcomes, because otherwise the results can be a little diffuse. Students can get confused about what you're trying to achieve. And so stay focused. Strike a quantity-quality balance. I've mentioned that we're sticking at 50 students this year, and we've been at 50 students for the last year. It is difficult to manage a large cohort of students if you're a fairly, we're a medium-sized organization. And it's also difficult to offer quality training. That's what I mean by quality balance here. It's difficult to offer quality training and quality work experiences when you have too many people. So we're going to try to hold tight at 50 and really perfect the program before we try to grow it anymore. Training partners, I talked, are very, very important to help scale. It's incredibly time consuming to develop your own training, even if you do have subject matter experts. So now we really do a blend of external and internal training. Blend experience levels on your teams and actively mentor those teams. It makes all the difference in the student's experience if they have someone that they can rely on to offer them in the moment advice in how to handle technical problems or professional, new experiences. And project success equals program success. Our projects, when I talk about our capstone projects that are sponsored by federal organizations, the success of those projects and the light that creates around the program cannot be understated. It's one thing for MITRE to say we have a great program. It's another thing for one of our sponsors at DOJ or Air Force to say, publicly, this is a really great program. We're so glad. We want more interns like that next summer. So really focus on the success of those projects, and then, then the 1,000 flowers have an opportunity to bloom. Okay, so this next slide is the Learn More slide. There are lots of resources online offered by MITRE to learn about this program and other opportunities at MITRE. This certainly isn't the only program. It's just the only program that I am involved in launching and managing. We are accepting applications for Cyber Futures currently. We're also accepting applications for traditional cybersecurity interns. The difference here, if I didn't make it clear before, is that Cyber Futures really is intended to be an experiential program. It is a one-time program. You don't ever return to Cyber Futures. You just graduate from Cyber Futures. If you have lots and lots of technical experience and you want a deeply technical internship, probably a traditional cybersecurity internship is more appropriate for you at MITRE than the Cyber Futures program. And then, of course, lots of early career professional opportunities and mid-career and senior professional opportunities, because as we all know, we don't have enough people who are dedicated to careers in cybersecurity. And so we're always looking for talent here at the MITRE Corporation. So I have 7 minutes to spare, which is amazing that I talked that long. If there are any questions, I would be more than happy to take questions. Let me see here if I navigate over there. Oh, great. Lots of questions. Okay. Okay, one question from Anthony says, what is the conversion rate of interns to full-time employment after the internship? That's a good question. I don't know the answer yet because we haven't run the program long enough to really have good statistics on what the conversion rate is. But I will say we talked in a few slides before that we've had 16 students return to MITRE either as traditional interns or MITRE full-time staff. And I think we probably have 8 or so full-time MITRE staff that have joined over the last 3 years. So conversion rate, I can't really tell you yet, but it's looking good. I guess another lesson learned you bring up is collecting data. It is more challenging than I would like it to be able to follow interns after the program. Obviously, we need to have our students opt into sharing information about what they do after they leave MITRE. And students that are in college aren't usually all thinking about making sure that they keep MITRE abreast of their professional achievements, especially if they've chosen not to come back to MITRE. So it is a challenge to collect that data. Again, this is where our student programs team really comes in, and pursues follow-up with them to make sure that we kind of know what has happened after they leave the program. So stay tuned. Hopefully in another 2 years, we'll have some really good data for you. Okay, this is a question about interest in improving skill sets from Mancy. I'm DePaul University. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly. Is checking websites for applying to the internships the best option? And also, what are the basic skill sets you're expecting from interns while hiring? Good question. We're looking for some technical experience is always great. It really does help to have some basic understanding of how computers work. So even some early programming, some early engineering coursework, some good math classes. We look for that. We look for collaborative demonstration of collaborative abilities, interest in working in teams, because this is a very collaborative program. Our interns learn from MITRE staff, they learn from sponsors, and they learn from each other. And just a demonstrated interest in cybersecurity. I mentioned before, we've hired some policy majors who, pursued programming in their free time, pursued capture the flags. There are lots of ways to show that you're interested. So don't underestimate the value of some of those extracurricular pursuits, because it really does show that you are coming to MITRE or other organizations with a breadth of interests. Can higher education be part of the partnership? From Maria. Yes, higher education can be part of the partnership. The only way that we've really partnered with higher education to date is in recruiting students. We, in particular, our board member, Mike Rogers, had great relationships with deans and presidents at a few universities. And that's really how we got started. We reached out to them. We asked them to help us shape the program. We asked them to identify students who they thought would be great candidates for the program. But those were informal partnerships. We do at MITRE have some formal partnerships with higher education. They are not relationships that I manage. Those are managed through our strategic partnerships and our student programs groups. But that's currently where our partnership with universities occurs. I could see there being opportunities moving forward to offer training modules in partnership with universities. I think that would be great. And I know certainly other corporations have those types of relationships. It's just not the way MITRE's structured this program out of the gate, but I certainly would be interested in talking to people about that. There's a question, is it necessary to be a citizen when applying for internships? I'm an international graduate student. I have this question in mind. So in order to work for the MITRE Corporation, you have to be a citizen. So for this particular internship, yes, in order to be an employee, you do. But that doesn't mean that you have to be a citizen to work for other organizations in support of national security. It's just part of the way MITRE's what's the right word? Hiring practices are structured. Do summer internships require clearances or NDAs? They don't require clearances. I think that NDAs are usually arrangements that we would make with a organization to organization. If we were doing some type of professional work, we simply ask that employees of the MITRE organization keep data that you are exposed to when as an employee confidential between MITRE and the employee. But you don't have to. There isn't, I don't think, an official NDA that's part of your condition of employment. And clearances aren't required, but sometimes we are able to put students in for clearances if they're interested and if the work that they're doing in order to evolve that work, in order to evolve their career in that field, it's required. So we're happy to talk to students about that. Okay, we are coming up on a hard stop, and I know that this is all going to end in a minute. So I want to thank you all for your time. It's been wonderful. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And thank you for attending today and for all the great questions.